Social media responds to St. Pete Police's hiring of social workers for nonviolent calls. What's up, everybody? My name is Candace Smith, and this is Pasco Connect. And this is an opportunity. Sometimes I see articles that I feel like, would be interesting for the community to discuss. And so I ran across this article from the Catalyst, and it says social media responds to St. Pete Police's hiring of social workers for nonviolent calls. And I thought it was very, very interesting. I thought it was, first of all, very interesting to see a Florida city jump on this so quickly. We've been hearing so many people talking about defunding the police, not knowing this is a example of that. When they say defunding the police, they mean allocating funds into other areas, because the police respond to a lot of things that really, they don't even have to go out for that. Sometimes when people are having mental health episodes and things, there be people better qualified to come out and help that person. And so St. Pete has actually started doing that, having social workers to come out for those non-violent calls. And I think this is just revolutionary, because one thing we don't realize is how militarized the police is, and their whole attitude when they're coming out to see about people is a military approach. It's more of a tactical approach. And sometimes what people are going through, it doesn't cause for that. It calls for someone who understands, the social aspects of things, all of the things that are playing into why this person is behaving in the way that they're behaving. The police does not have that information. They're getting training now in 2020 for that. But this whole entire time, they've basically been local military coming out when you arguing with Fred. Arguing about the bacon burning. It's not funny. It's really not funny. It's serious, because a lot of people have found themselves in a worse situation because the police was involved. When the situation, once the police gets involved, and then now you enter into the court system, then they offer you sometimes like the counseling and different things, drug rehabilitation and mental health services. Then they get you into those things, and for a lot of people, that's all they need. But when you attach that to a criminal record, when you attach that to this stigma and to this, now you're a lesser than person, or you're a worse person because you've been in this situation, it really doesn't make the situation better. There are ways that we can handle the different things that we find ourselves in within the community. There's a better way to handle that. So I'm excited about this that St. Pete has taken on, and I'm definitely going to be following any updates. But I did go through the article, and I found some of the comments that they posted very interesting. So I thought I'd share a few. Debbie Cox Bolton said, "I think this approach, which seems to be gaining some traction around the country, is really promising. Thanks for your leadership." And she tagged the mayor and some people. BW Smith says, "As a former police dispatcher, we were trained to send 2 officers to any disturbance calls, regardless if it was nonviolent at the time it was called in. Those calls can turn on a dime. Stupid move, St. Pete. Just a matter of time before they regret this decision." So he wasn't too excited about that. And I ended up pulling this comment because I said, well, in all honesty, he's right. Those situations can change very quickly when there's people in the heat and passion of the moment. And so therefore I feel like they can all go out. Why can't the police come out to de-escalate the situation? And instead of arrest happening, there is the rehabilitation that happens or something like that. So, that was a real interesting comment that they were able to capture. And so Michael Vivio says, great move by at St. Pete PD and Chrisman to rethink how we respond and address nonviolent crimes in our city. I'm proud to live in a progressive city that thinks about how best to solve a problem, in this case, with social workers. So it is going to be really interesting to see how, everything works out, one way or the other. We'll see. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people that are paying attention as to how it will all play out. So let's check in with Black Lives Matter organizer Nita Boneta and Marlowe Jones, president of Pasco Young Revolutionaries, to get their thoughts. Let's let them weigh in on this topic and see how they feel. You guys check this out. So, Christina, with Black Lives Matter-Pasco, how do you feel about St. Pete adopting this new way of policing, basically defunding the police and having their social workers now coming in to take some of those calls?
I mean, of course, I'm all about defunding the police. That's one of the things I'm out there protesting about. But the main thing is police are not trained, nor do they have the skills to deal with a lot of issues, especially, some domestic issues, some, mental illnesses, just a lot of things they should not be handling, because a lot of times people end up hurt because they see someone that has a mental illness freaking out. They're just having a panic attack, an anxiety attack. Maybe they're autistic. Maybe they have, we've seen people of color die and actually just have some kind of mental illness. So I think that definitely, police should handle robberies in progress or violent crimes that are in progress. But when it comes to everything else, they got way too many jobs as police. So I'm all for defunding the police, taking some of their money and putting it into other areas that will benefit everybody 100%.
Awesome. So, Marlowe Jones with Pasco Young Revolutionaries, how do you feel about that?
I'm all about defunding and reinvesting that money into crooked police departments into the community. Because, there are some police departments that get it right, but there are a lot that get it wrong. So I am all for taking that money that they're getting and putting that money back in the community, investing it in social workers, investing it into mental health. That way, when these officers go out to these calls, I believe that any call that involves domestic or mental health issues, if an officer goes out, a caseworker and a hostage nigga, all those people should be dispatched as well to whatever, because time and time again, we've seen in our own county here in Pasco where we have people with mental illnesses that when they have altercations with law enforcement, sometimes it's not so great and they end up dead. And it's sad. So I know counties will say, well, we're investing in this and we're investing in that, but we need to see it. We need to see how much money each department is getting. Like for instance, the Pasco Sheriff's Office just asked for an increase in what they already get. I believe they get already half of Pasco County budget, and it's a lot of money. So what is this money being spent on? That's what we, the people, need to start looking into.
Right.
And if it's spent on foolishness to spy on us and to take us down and to try to infiltrate hardworking people in the community, we need to take that money, defund that money, and put it back in the community where it needs to be.
I totally agree.